Hello and greetings everybody, how are things? Bulbados here and welcome to the channel. Today I will be reviewing the 5th season of Demon Slayer, the Hashira Training Arc. Full spoilers ahead. So a quick recap of the series leading up to Season 5, focusing on major plot points and character developments. Tanjiro had a cute family. Michael Jackson killed said family. Tanjiro became a student of the sword, underwent training and got stronger, started killing demons, had some beautiful and emotional scenes, more loved ones died, Mr. Flashy flashed us, in the best way, and breathing exercises, and a lot more hype fight scenes. And that brings us up to the current season. If people have confusion by the Season 5, as everyone online is referring to it as Season 4, it's Season 5 to me, as the train arc was turned into a season, that being Season 2. So, the Hashira Training Arc continues to follow Tanjiro in his journey to avenge his family and hunt down the man, the myth, the legend that is Muzan. With the threat of Muzan going stronger and now on the hunt for Tanjiro's remaining sister Nezuko, who we learned last season has the ability to survive in the sunlight, Tanjiro and the Demon Slayer Corps must engage in vigorous and extensive training exercises. With Nezuko safely hidden, the 7 Hashiras are separated and take on the responsibility of bringing the Demon Corps to the next level. Whilst this is happening, throughout the course of the season, Muzan has been retreating his demons into hiding, and behind closed doors he has been building his army within the Infinity Castle. The Infinity Castle being a space that is an ever-changing labyrinth that defies the laws of reality, all under Muzan and his demon accomplice Nakame's control. This is the season that also highlights the extent of the Demon Slayer Corps Master Kagaya's illness and shows the limit of his body that is riddled in poison, ready for death. So while that's the main storyline that unfolds over these 8 episodes, the underlying theme of this season focuses on friendship and determination, but more on that later. For now, let's look at So this season, we mostly follow Tanjiro as the trio has been separated, all on different stages of their own training. Early in this season, Tanjiro is still recovering and healing from the previous battle. But during this season of training, he remains strongly determined to get better and be on par with the Hashiras. He is well aware of the skill gap between them, but he is more than ever driven and focused on the task at hand. Also staying true to his character, Tanjiro throughout his training also helps and motivates the other students to continue their own development. When training gets tough or the mentors are going hard on them, Tanjiro remains a warm soul to cheer and uplift his peers. Beyond his fellow students, he is also responsible for bringing one of the Hashiras out of the shadows and making them realize their own worth. That being the water Hashira, Giyu. From all the characters we interact with this season, Giyu has to be the one who undergoes the most change and development. Up until this point, Giyu had remained somewhat cold and distant, but it's during this arc that he receives some love and attention. So, to start, Giyu refuses to participate within the Hashira training.
6人で話し合うといい。俺には関係ない。俺はお前たちとは違う。
俺たちを見下してんのか？
喧嘩はダメだよ。冷静に。
待ちやがれ！
ダメ。
resulting in him isolating to his temple, just wanting to be left alone. With Giyu being the first mentor Tanjiro meets, we are treated to some of the best character work and interactions. I absolutely love the dynamic these two have.
ごめんください。富岡さん、こんにちは。すみません。義勇さん、俺です。いらっしゃいますか？かまど炭治郎です。こんにちは。じゃあ入ります。
入ります？いや、帰りますだな。聞き間違いだ。
At this point in the story, Giyu doesn't accept the mantle of Water Hashira, which is why he's partly annoyed at Tanjiro, as Tanjiro was originally trained with the water breathing technique and was supposed to take over the role when he was strong enough. One annoying montage later, and we get the backstory of Giyu and how he never passed the final selection, which is a test undergone to become a Demon Slayer Corps member. We learn that when he was 13, he undertook the test with his best friend, Sabito. Seeing Sabito again was a nice callback to Season 1. During the test, it stated that Giyu survived the required 7 days, but during that time, he never managed to kill a single demon. It was here that he would also be attacked by a demon, which led him to lose consciousness as Sabito continued on to kill every demon in the area. When Giyu woke up, he learned of Sabito's death, which had a lasting effect on him. Because of this tragedy, Giyu feels unworthy of the water mantle, but to also stand beside the other Hashiras. This was some tragic and sad backstory for the character, and changes the way you view him. Or it did for me at least. In short, Tanjiro is able to snap him out of his funk by asking him if he was going to pass on what Sabito entrusted to him. This question triggers a flashback for him, where he remembers the conversation the pair had. So after all these years of depression and regret, all Giyu needed was a conversation with our boy Tanjiro. With his new mindset enabled, Giyu is ready to join in on the training, after a Tanjiro food eating contest interruption. In terms of character development for the other mentors, most, if not all of them, don't have as much change to them, unlike Giyu. We get very little screen time with Shinobu. Mitsuri remains the same, has a over-the-top, happy, lovable character, which isn't a bad thing as she's great, and all she does is just teach the boys ballet and how to stretch. Tokito is still cool, calm and collected. His teaching style is somewhat painful as he doesn't hold back with his hits, but it's all out of love and concern for his pupils, as this training is nothing compared to what a demon would do to them. Obanai does get some development, but mostly depicting his extreme ways of training and punishment to the trainees. Like all the other mentors, he does teach Tanjiro and help him get to the next level with his fighting, but the biggest character development for him is just understanding his aggression towards Tanjiro, which comes from a place of jealousy. This is due to Tanjiro's and Mitsuri's relationship and the way she writes about him. This scene is pretty funny.
イグラさん、お元気ですか？今日は稽古後に炭治郎くんと一緒にお茶したんだよ。炭治郎くんって甘いもの食べても飲んでもほっぺた落ちちゃいそうになってて、とっても可愛いの。
Regarding Sanemi, the Wind Hashira, we get more of his aggression and explosiveness, much like in Season 1, but we do get some development between him and his Second Amendment brother, Genya. With their brief scenes together, we learn that forgiveness isn't an option right now from Sanemi. In an extreme twist, Sanemi states that he doesn't have a brother, and if Genya doesn't back off, he will destroy him. Sanemi then roasts his brother by reminding him he has zero skill and cannot even use breathing techniques, so he shouldn't call himself a swordsman. In a final plea, Genya tells him he even ate demons to go on fighting. This causes Sanemi to lose it and go to take out Genya's eyes, which is a very brutal reaction. A little side note back to Tanjiro's growth. He is now capable of somewhat standing ground with a Hashira. As when Genya's eyes are almost popped, Tanjiro steps in and saves him, which then leads to a brawl with the Wind Hashira. Just before they start fighting though, Tanjiro pleads for Genya's case and says things that Genya needs to hear. Tanjiro still gets his ass whooped though, but he's able to keep up with Sanemi's speed and can even block some attacks, even landing a hit of his own in. This in turn inspires the other students to jump in and help. This was a really enjoyable scene, I like this a lot. After all the grueling training they have been dealt, this was their one moment of revenge. So as all the mentors have been teaching the kids, Sanemi, Tokito, and Iguro have been having their own Hashira training during the night. This has involved them fighting with each other. I like that this shows the extra determination the three have to be ready for Muzan. During the early days of Tanjiro's training, we did get a nice special appearance from the flashiest man there is, Tengen. He is retired, but seeing him come back with all his wives to provide some stamina training was really cool. And whenever Tengen is on screen, you cannot be mad. Now, moving on to the last Hashira, Gyome. Second, if not tied, Gyome has the most development alongside Gyu. Gyome up until this point had remained a somewhat mysterious character. We had a sample back in the first season, but other than that he's been rare to come across. And my god, what a character. His backstory is so sad. Heartbreaking really. This man's trauma is undeserved. Gyome is portrayed as one of the strongest Hashiras, and not only due to his incredible physical strength as the Stone Hashira, but also for his impressive mental fortitude. His training regime is the most physically demanding.
まず滝に打たれる修行をしてもらい、丸太3本を担ぐ修行。
太い。
最後にこの岩を一丁先まで押して運ぶ修行。
And we witness a powerful demonstration of his abilities in the season finale.
岩の呼吸、三の型、ガンクの肌へ。
Despite his constant tears, Gyome exhibits remarkable mental strength. His mantras serve as a source of inner power, helping him confront his past trauma and focus all of his strength. Maintaining such mental resilience while grappling with his painful memories is a testament to his extraordinary resolve. He is one of the GOATs. Him becoming violent for the first time when a demon comes to attack the orphanage he's raising is so sad. And the fact that the only survivor was scared and confused, which led her mistakenly thinking he killed everyone, which further resulted in his arrest, was more heartbreak I didn't need. Someone give this man a hug. Now, up until this point, I had been pretty dense, as this whole time I didn't realize he is blind. The pale blank eyes should have been a giveaway, but I thought it was because he was constantly crying. The strongest one up in here turns out to be blind. Just give this man his roses already. And the fact that he has no sight just makes his finale feat even better. Regarding Kagaya, there's not a whole lot I have to say about him right now, so I will go over him more so towards the end. The same with Zenitsu and Inosuke. Both are still themselves, and much like Tanjiro, are on the path to bettering themselves and becoming on par with the Hashiras. For the voice acting, I don't have any issues. I watch my anime in subbed, as I am a sub snob, but it is what it is. I just think subbed always sounds better. There's so much more passion and energy behind the words, and that's the case here. Now, that's not to say that dubbed anime is always bad, as there is always the exception to the rule. Demon Slayer's dubbed version does fall somewhere in the middle.
Sit down. let's continue our discussion, as I have a proposal.
And when I'm writing up my reviews, I do have the English version playing in the background sometimes, and for the most part this dubbed isn't too bad. There is a couple exceptions, but each their own.
What the hell is this?
A worn-down castle from the Restoration period. Must have been abandoned or forgotten because the location is inconvenient. Or so I assume. What do you mean it doesn't concern you? Seems you've forgotten you're also a Hashira. Or you're bluffing, trying to get a head start on training to manifest the mark. But you're needed here in the meeting.
I'm not going to roast people for enjoying the dubbed version. As long as you're watching the show and getting enjoyment from it, who cares? Now, the original voice acting as a whole is great. Everyone's line delivery is perfect, the emotional scenes have weight, and the comedic scenes are delivered well.
そんなことが分かっていれば、私は鬼になどならなかった。病で死にたくないと言ったのは、子供が大人になるのを見届けたかったからだ。
到着励めよ。
Moving on to the soundtrack, once again, as a whole, I don't have any complaints. Throughout the season, the music blended in well and never took me out of it. The biggest highlight for me was the To the Infinity Castle, Muzan vs Hashira theme. This song was perfect for the final battle, going into the cliffhanger and again in the ending credits. As you're left gobsmacked and replaying what just happened, as well as overthinking what the future holds, it was such a bop. As far as intro songs go, this season is actually the worst in my opinion. For rankings, I would have season 4 in my number 1 spot, and then tied for a very close second place, due to how similar they are, would be season 1 and 2, with season 3 in 4th, and this season's in last. Now, this intro isn't horrendous or anything, I just feel like it lacks the hype that seasons 1 through 3 have. So I think it's fair to say that the biggest themes from this season is camaraderie, teamwork, and dedication. Throughout the whole of these 8 episodes, we see not just Tanjiro, but the other cadets training hard and being dedicated to getting stronger. Even in instances where we can see some of the trainees quit the training due to them believing they aren't cut out for this, we still see that they are willing to provide essential backup. This is shown nicely in a conversation between Tanjiro and some trainees, and despite knowing that the Hashiras will be the ones to fight and kill the upper ranks of Muzan's army, the pupils will still be essential in the fight as a whole. Camaraderie is defined as a feeling of friendliness, goodwill, and familiarity, all of which Tanjiro displays throughout his training. Time after time, we see him uplift the people around him, develop existing relationships into stronger bonds, and even set aside personal grievances. For dedication, it's clearly shown that through commitment you can push your limits further and do things you never would have imagined. In terms of teamwork, it's been made very clear at this point in the show that to beat the demons, the Slayers will have to work together and look out for one another. This season's run isn't just about the training, it's the showcasing of hope and inspiration of everyone coming together to fight a common goal and show resilience in the face of adversity. For anyone who is familiar with Demon Slayer, then they know the reputation of this anime's animation, quality and art style. There may be a lot of discourse online and opinions along the lines of Demon Slayer being mid, or the story being generic and basic, but the show is known for having some of the best visual effects of modern anime, and that reputation has persisted into Season 5. Ufotable, the team behind Demon Slayer, has done a great job here, even in the parts of the show where corners need to be cut to save budget for the high impact scenes. I've enjoyed the animation quality throughout the 8 episodes, not just in the flashy scenes, but in the chill character development scenes too. Ufotable does an excellent job of blending CGI and hand-drawn animation together that creates a distinct style that is of course visually pleasing and doesn't distract you from your immersion. Of course, the big highlight of the Hashira arc is the final fight and the mansion explosion. My god, was that beautiful. And following on from that, the fight scene between Muzan and Guillaume is up there with some of the best from the series. Up until that point, Season 3 had been regarded as the best due to Tengen and his flashy fights. But here, Guillaume really gives him a run for his money. My personal thoughts regarding this season are ones of a positive nature. Going into it, I knew it would be a season focused purely on training, so I knew it would be more of a slower season with less emphasis on action, but that's okay. This arc was the calm before the storm. Up until this point, it had been a journey watching Tanjiro grow and develop, and watch as his training has been a constant challenge these past 5 seasons. But now that we are going into the endgame, it's exciting to know that there will be no more training. As a side note, I had a friend who stopped watching midway through Season 4 due to the pacing of it and how Tanjiro was still undergoing training. So them, and probably many others, had a little interest in Season 5 due to the repetitive nature of it, but I didn't think it was that bad. Early on, it did seem like we would be getting an episode dedicated to a Hashira, but they ended up mixing it up, and in some episodes Tanjiro was speedrunning through these mentors. On one hand, you could say it was bad pacing, but on the other, you know he's going to get past it eventually, so it's good they didn't stay on it for too long and had more opportunities to develop some of the lesser seen characters. With the future of the series being made into films, I would have liked to have seen some people get developed more, mostly the Serpent and Wind Hashira, as I don't really want a ton of flashbacks in the films when they should be an action-packed and purely focusing on the Infinity Castle battle, but we shall see. Again, I really like the balance of serious and goofy scenes as well as the animation style to match it. I like that they made the other students more prominent and have much more character to them. Ultimately, they are red shirts for the upcoming battle, but at least now we have more of a connection to them. Regarding the Master, I thought that they handled his arc very well, and we learned a lot about him, his history, and his illness. Even in the face of prolonged death, he was able to remain calm. That's highlighted most with his face-off with Muzan. Having so much rage and killing intent, but still being able to suppress it is a testament to his character. We also get to see his intelligence within his plan and how it all came together, with the exception of everyone being teleported. I will also say that he has some serious big dick energy to go out in a literal blaze of glory. It might not have done much to Muzan, but it did hold him long enough for the other players to make their move. It is sad that he took his family out with him, but it's bittersweet that they wanted to stay with him until the end. Regarding Muzan, it was long overdue, but we got a face-off with him and got to see a slither of how strong he really is. Tanking both the explosion and decapitation whilst being stuck in place with his abilities hindered, but still having that regeneration speed is insane. I was really looking forward to the long, drawn-out fight of the Hashiras fighting him until daylight, but unfortunately he was ready for that and outsmarted everyone, including the Master. The fact that he waited until the Master was dead and everyone was close by to teleport everyone shows his overconfidence. Going forward, a lot of blood will be shed, but I do like that he didn't just stop at the Hashiras, but teleported literally everyone to their potential graves. I completely forgot about this ability, so it took me by surprise and I was gobsmacked in just as much shock and awe like the rest of the characters. Not our 3 main fellas though, they are ready to fight. Inosuke though just seems to be ready to have a grand old time. Zenitsu has finally shed his annoying personality fully. I had gotten used to it by now, and the annoyingness of it had worn off, but going forward I am so ready for him to be a cold mofo. I wanted to know what his letter was about, so some research later I found out his grandpa/master had died, and one of his friends had been turned into a demon. That is of course very sad, but if it means we get a cold murderous Zenitsu, then that's a big bright silver lining for me. During this ending scene, it was nice to see Tameo again, as well as get a nod to the random guy that Muzan turned into a demon when having his face off with Tanjiro in an earlier season. This ending fight, I have no complaints beside it wasn't long enough. Guillaume coming up to smash Muzan's head in was again just a beautiful scene. And lastly, one thing that did have me on edge for the run of this season was the fact that everyone was walking around with wooden swords, even during the night when the demons are active. Anytime it was a night scene, mostly with the Hashira's training, I couldn't help but think, what if you get attacked right now and all you have is these wooden swords? Thankfully by the ending though, they all had real weapons. But if Muzan had teleported them all sooner, it probably would have made his final battle a lot more easier. In summary, the Hashira Training Arc offers a deep dive into the rigorous training and development of our beloved characters. This season emphasizes themes of friendship, perseverance, and sacrifice, with significant character development for Giyu and Guillaume. The animation continues to impress, blending traditional techniques with CGI to create visually stunning sequences. While the season is slower paced, focusing more on training than action, it sets the stage for the impending battles with Muzan and his demons. Despite some criticisms regarding pacing and story points, this season succeeds in building anticipation for the climactic conflicts ahead. The balance of serious and light-hearted moments, coupled with the emotional depth of the characters' journeys, makes this season a worthwhile continuation of the Demon Slayer saga. If you haven't already, I think you should go watch it. And if you're new to Demon Slayers as a whole, I hope I've piqued your interest enough here for you to go check out the anime. So that brings me to the end of the review. For my first attempt at a long-form media review, I hope it wasn't too bad. My first endeavour was originally going to be a complete analysis of Parasite the Maxim, but having only covered the first 8 episodes of a 24-episode series, my word count was already reaching 33,000. It's safe to say I was getting overwhelmed. So I decided to put a pause in that and instead cover Demon Slayer since it had just finished and allowed me to have a more manageable project. So I hope it was entertaining enough for you to make it to this point in the video. There will be more media reviews coming, so stay tuned. It has been a jam-packed summer for anime as multiple shows are all ending around the same time. We've just had Demon Slayer, Kaiju number 8, Windbreaker, Go-Go Loser Ranger and more all ending within a few weeks of each other. So if any I have just mentioned piqued your interest, please drop me a comment saying which one you would want to see next. And if you want to drop me a like or leave me a comment with any feedback, thoughts or opinions regarding this video in general, then please do. I would appreciate it. And other than that, thank you for making it to the end. I hope you go enjoy the rest of your day. Way you later.